Hi guys, it's Kelly. I am back from my Camino journey. I've been back for just over a week now, and I thought maybe it would be good to just put a little debrief out there just to wrap up everything. Honestly, when we got into the square in Santiago, I just totally abandoned the GoPro because I was just in the moment with my friends and just really wanted to celebrate. And I'm not like a vlogger by nature, so the editing of videos at the end was getting a little bit exhausting. So I just totally abandoned it for those last few days in Santiago, and then I spent a couple weeks off the grid just near the ocean and exploring some different places. And so I now am back home and so thankful for the entire journey and just kind of reflecting on it. I've been talking to my family and my friends, getting together with them, and so while it's fresh, I just wanted to get some of those thoughts out there. So overall, it was an incredible journey. I am so thankful that I was able to do it. I just never thought I would be able to take this many days off until I was retired in a long time. And so even though I'm in the middle of a job transition and it was a little bit risky to, take that much time off, it couldn't have been better. It was so good for my mental health, my physical health, just a new experience, meeting so many new people. It just inspired me. And so I really am so thankful that I was able to do it. I would recommend it to anybody, especially who's in a life change moment. It was funny, I was listening to a podcast that I listened to the other day, and they were kind of talking about job transitions, and someone said, go walk the Camino. And I was like, perfect. So that was incredible. One of the last nights, one of our friends, we were sitting down at dinner, and he asked a couple questions. The first one he asked was, would you do it again? And at the time I was in pain still, so I was like, I don't know, maybe in 10, 20 years. And I still kind of feel like that, at least the Francis, the full 37 days. I don't know that I would do that for another 10, 20 years, mostly because I just love traveling and seeing new things, and I can't see myself planning another trip to repeat the same thing. Also, I feel because this was such a life transition moment, I think it played a really important role for now, but I'm not sure I would want that in another 2 years, let's say. But I do think I would maybe want to do the Portuguese, which is only the 2-week journey, or even the Norte. Norte I wouldn't do by myself. I would definitely want to do that with someone. And even the Portuguese, one of my college roommates has been let's do that one together. And I think that would be amazing. So no, I don't think I would do the Frances again for a little while, but that's because it was really special to me, not because I wouldn't recommend it to people. I would definitely recommend it to people. Also, I just want to see so many things. I met so many people who have done the Camino 10, 20 times, and that's incredible. I don't see myself ever being that person. I definitely want to see too many things in the world, but I am very inspired by people who are doing more active trips. So I met one couple who's done so many trekking vacations, and I think that inspired me for sure. I was with my brother the other night, and we were just brainstorming of some new backpacking trips we could add to our list, and what we would maybe want to take our nieces and nephews, my nieces and nephews, his kids, on. And so I definitely think it inspired me for that, but I don't think I'm going to want to be the person that does the Camino 10 times. But I can see why people would want to do that, especially retired people. If they don't have a strong community at home, it's a really special thing that you're building this community, you're having dinner with these people every night. I could see how that would be really fulfilling. Thankfully, I do have a really solid community at home, and so that's not something I'm going to need every year, but it was awesome. The second question he asked is, what is something that you're going to take away from this trip? And at the time, I kind of answered a kind of a shallow answer, I guess is what I would say, but getting up for the sunrise every day was really good for me, and walking every day was really good for me. I think both of those things just set the day with intention and kind of regulated me in a good way. So I said that is what I would take away. But more than that, I think just learning to live with less is huge. I had read and listened to people say that before, but it really is true. You're living out of a backpack for that long, and you're wearing the same clothes every day, and you're not wearing makeup, and you're realizing I really don't need all this stuff. I really don't need all these varieties in food even. I don't really need, living in Europe, you don't even need your car, which is amazing. Here, I do need my car. But it just kind of gives you this mind shift. So that was one thing that I definitely took away. The other thing that was like my favorite was at the end, we were in the square and our friend gave a toast, and he is a strong Catholic, and just reminded us that like we're not just walking this pilgrimage, but like here on the Camino, but also the pilgrimage of life, and our ultimate destination is heaven. And that's for sure something like I've always resonated with, and I think this trip really like sealed the deal for that. That yeah, on the Camino we had highs and lows, we had really hard days and we had really easy days, we had really fun days and we had boring days. And in life, the same thing. We're going to have really hard seasons, really easy seasons. We're going to have some that we're coasting through and some that we're really working hard through. But through it all, like the biggest thing is having community around you really helps you get through that pilgrimage. And I think that's what the Camino like reinforced for me so much. And that the Lord is with us all the time. I think that was really important. It was such a special time of like solitude and spending time with God when I was just coming out of a season where I was so busy that I wasn't spending time with him. So I definitely think that was really special, and I would recommend anyone do it because it taught a lot of lessons. I mean, practical lessons, but those are probably like the biggest ones that I would take away from it for sure. And then I did want to share just like one more thing. I said in my first video that I'm a journaler, and I did fill up almost my whole journal. I have like 3 pages left, but I didn't want to look at what I had written originally until I was all the way done and back home. And so I was looking at it the other day, and it was really cool because I wrote down my hopes, my fears, and my dreams before the trip. And I'm just going to read them as fast as I can and maybe put in some pictures, but I just am so excited that every single one of my hopes happened. Most of my fears did not happen, and the ones that did happen were not a big deal, which is really cool. So wanted to share those really quick. So some of my hopes: I hope that I will walk 500 miles and feel so proud of myself at the end, which I did. I hope I meet new and amazing people who impact me and change me for the better. Definitely did that. I hope I disconnect from my dependence on my phone and social media and focus on being present. I definitely did that, but especially those last 2 weeks, I just took time off the grid completely. Didn't post anything, didn't do any videos, and that was really good. And again, like I did some social media for my job, so that was just a real issue. And I'm so thankful that on that trip I got less connected to my phone for sure. I hope I laughed so hard over shared meals that I cry. That happened. I laughed so hard, especially towards the end with some of our friends, and so that was really a blessing. I hope that I pray hard as I'm walking and processing, which I did. I hope I physically feel the Lord carrying me through, and I definitely felt that, especially when my blisters were really hurting. I hope I learn more about the church history and grow my respect for the Catholic Church. Again, I'm not Catholic, I'm Protestant, and you know, sometimes there's a big battle between the two. At least that's how I grew up and was taught. And I definitely deepened my respect for the Catholic Church, but also raised more questions. But mostly what raised my respect was meeting some incredible Catholic people who are very dedicated to their faith, are definitely saved, know the Lord, and are very devout and living out their faith. And so that was really, really special. But I did like learning more about church history, and some of my favorite conversations were with the nuns and the monks along the way. So that was really special. I hope I learned the beauty of living more simply in regards to clothes, makeup, hair, etc. I've never been like a big fashion girl or makeup girl or clothes girl, but still, like, you get into this where, I don't know, everyone's wearing this thing, or you have to, or feeling like you need to buy new things, and we just really don't need to. And so that was really helpful. I hope I get to explore and learn more about the history of Spain. That was really cool, and I got to do that a lot, and especially at the end, those last couple weeks, because I had a lot more time to read. And so I wasn't doing it so much on the trip, but after the trip I followed up on so many questions that I had developed throughout the trip. So that was really neat, and it was so cool going through different regions of Spain and kind of learning about like the different kingdoms originally, learning about how much like religion really does impact the politics in Spain. So that was really a special thing. I hope I practice and become more confident in using my Spanish. So this is the only hope that I put an X next to, but then I kind of checked it off. I took Spanish all through high school. I live in San Diego. I remember my dad saying, you live in Southern California, you will learn Spanish. I have been to a Spanish-speaking country every year for the last 15 years, and I am horrible at Spanish. I can understand so much, but producing words is so difficult. So did I practice it? Yes. Every time I tried to speak in Spanish, immediately people would speak back to me in English. I would say mostly people were speaking English. That was like the common language at dinners, even at restaurants. But I did practice and I tried, but people always spoke back to me in English. I got more confident in my understanding though, because I feel like I was like even listening in on conversations, and I had a few conversations in Spanish. So I was happy about that, but I do wish that I got a little better at my Spanish. I hope I try new foods and drinks. Definitely did that. And some were really good and some were not so good, but I tried them. I hope I inspire someone else to rest, to do something for themselves, to take a trip or an adventure. I'm not really sure if I did that, but I think so based on like some of my family and friends and their comments that they've made to me throughout and after the trip. I hope I will practice spiritual disciplines and practices. Probably the best one that I practiced was solitude. Silence, because that is something like I just constantly fill my head with podcasts and I listen. I love consuming information. I love reading. I love podcasts, but the thing is I'm never in like quiet so that I can hear the Lord. So I think that was probably the best one that I practiced. And then also scripture reading. I was pretty consistent in that throughout the trip, so that was really good. I will develop a habit of prayer. So I kind of put an X, but then a check next to that one. That was like a really big goal of mine. And I didn't do as much as I had hoped. Like I even wrote this whole plan in my journal about what I was going to pray for each day. And I didn't do that. But I did pray every day. And I definitely was both like just praying in the moment, but also I was reading through a book that had kind of some guided prayers and written prayers. And so I did develop a habit of prayer. It just wasn't to the level I thought. But I just have to remember that I'm in a better place than I was a month ago. So it did develop. So yeah, I feel really happy that I accomplished all of my hopes. And then these are my fears. So my fears were that I would give up, which I didn't, that my mind is weak. There were moments that my mind was weak, but overall my mind was strong. I got through it, which was really cool. I was worried that I'd feel lonely, which honestly I did not feel lonely the whole time until my last 2 weeks when I was by myself. I was ready to come home. I was missing my family, but on the trip I was surrounded by so many amazing people that I really didn't feel lonely at all. I feared that I would meet weird people. I did meet a couple weird people. Overall, literally I get along with most people, but like everyone was amazing. There were two that really bothered me on the trip, and it kind of became an inside joke. I obviously didn't talk about that in my vlog, but I mean, that's the real world. You're going to meet people who you like, and there's going to be people who you don't like so much. But I think the personality that I struggled with the most were like the know-it-alls, or the people who provided a lot of suggestions to you without being asked. So that was kind of my hardest personality type to get along with, and I tried to avoid those people, but I'm usually pretty friendly, so they kept kind of reappearing in my journey, and everyone kind of knew that I was frustrated because I usually don't get frustrated with people. I was worried. I was fearful that I would hate sleeping in an albergue. And shockingly, I did not hate sleeping in an albergue. In fact, coming home, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet in here. I didn't mind the snoring. I didn't mind the noises. Like, I actually slept pretty fine. So that was good. The only thing that was a struggle for me in the albergue was how hot it was sometimes. That was worse than even the sounds. My fear was that I would get sick. So that is a fear that did happen. I got sick early on in the trip. And in fact, I got sick when I got home now. I'm kind of battling it a little bit now, but it wasn't a big deal. I just took it slow and walked like half the speed for 2 days and kind of felt better. So not a big deal. I was worried I'd get hurt, and obviously I had blisters, but no serious injuries, which I'm so thankful for because there were other people who did get hurt. I was afraid that a loved one would possibly pass away on my Camino. I know that can be a fear at all times, but I have some that are specifically battling some things right now, and I was really worried about that. And I really thought through, like, if that happened, what would I do? Would I come home? And I was like, this is where I need to be. So I'm really glad I did that, and that did not happen. But that was a huge fear of mine going into the trip. I had a fear that I couldn't stay off my phone, and I could, which was great. It was actually easier than I thought to disconnect. I was worried that I might get lost, and I did not get lost at all. I had a fear that I might get stuck in like a storm or something, and it definitely rained a couple days, but overall we had incredible weather. Super lucky in that. I had a fear that I'd run out of money, and so I'm unemployed right now, and I definitely ran through most of my savings. So now I'm home and it's time to find a job, but I didn't run out of money. And honestly, so many people in my family were so generous and sent me some money too, which was a huge blessing. So I did not run out of money. And people on the trip, like I had so many like father and mother figures on the trip that just were like, no, don't worry about this. And I feel weird because I like to be the one who's like generous, but I just don't have that capability right at this moment. And so receiving that was sometimes hard, but I just always have to remember, like, by you allowing them to bless you, it's actually a blessing for them. I had another fear was that there wouldn't be any room in an albergue one night, and that happened a couple nights, but it wasn't a big deal. I walked forward and just went to the next town with my friend Rafaela one night, and then the other night our friend Chad had a hotel room with extra beds, and so he let us stay there. So in both cases, not a big deal, which was really nice. My fear was that I would feel scared. I didn't feel scared at all. Like, honestly, not at all. It was so funny. I remember this specific moment. I was walking all alone in the Meseta. Like, as far as you can see, I couldn't see anyone. And there's this random guy sitting under a tree, like an older man, maybe like 60s. And I just sat next to him under this tree in the shade. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is so weird, because if in the US I was walking through a field and I couldn't see any people ahead and I couldn't see any people behind, I would have been terrified. For some reason, I was not scared at all. I mean, people are coming, which is part of it, but also, like, nothing's gonna happen. I don't know. I just felt so safe. In fact, I didn't feel any fear until I flew back and I ended in Miami. And I had to get into a taxi in Miami. And so here in the US, that's where I was more scared than the entire trip in Spain. So that was kind of a cool thing. Another fear I felt, I was worried that I would be bored or that it wouldn't be as exciting as I thought it would be. And yes, there were moments where I was like, okay, I'm like, this is not super fun. Like, there were some days that were not very pretty, but overall it was way more exciting than I thought it would be. It was more fun than I thought it would be. So I am very thankful that fear did not come to pass. And then I'm not going to share my dreams with you because those were like big ones, and most of them haven't come to pass, but also I haven't been home from the trip very long, so you just never know when things might happen. But I just thought that was really cool that, like, my fears and my hopes came true, and my fears mostly didn't come true, but then they were, it didn't matter because they weren't a big deal when they did. And then I'm looking at just some of my notes. So I guess in my notes, I wrote a couple other things to debrief. I'm just so glad I went on the trip. It was perfect timing. I feel healthier in so many ways and ready to start a new season. I mean, just healthy physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, all of it. Socially, it just filled my bucket. I used to do a ton of travel. My goal was to get to 30 countries by 30, which I did, but then my next goal was to be debt-free by 33. And so while I was paying off my student loans, I just had to cut travel out unless it was like a trip with the school that I taught at, so it was covered. And I just forgot how much it fills me up. Like, I love traveling. I love learning about new cultures. I love meeting new people from different places. It just expands your worldview so much. And so being there and talking to so many people, it just filled me up. And then also I met people who just like poured into me, which was unexpected. I'm like tearing up talking about it, but just like spoke so many words of life over me. And so that was really cool, about my career, about relationships, about friendships, about family, about just like complimenting my decision to take a break. Like, all of that was just so cool, meeting some really neat people. I love being in a new culture, so that was really awesome, and it confirmed in my mind that, like, I definitely want to live overseas at some point in my life for a significant chunk. I wasn't able to study abroad in college because I played volleyball, but I always wish I had, so I feel like this was kind of like a study abroad experience, but it just confirmed I definitely want to live abroad. And meeting so many friends who've like sold all of their things and are just taking the risk to move overseas, like, that just was super encouraging and inspiring to me. I think other things that I wrote, Spiritually, I didn't accomplish all that I wanted to, but I definitely read some really good books, and I feel like I grew a ton. And one of the whole things was like living the way of Jesus, and the way of Jesus is unrushed and unhurried. And I felt that, like, literally I'm just walking every day. And even in that, there were some people we walked with who were like, go, 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 we got to get there by this time. And I like rebelled against that so much. In fact, I like kind of snapped at someone who was like, good, let's go. Because the whole point is I'm trying to live the way of Jesus, which is unrushed and unhurried. I'm present for these conversations. I want to be present with people. So that was really cool to me, that I felt that growth in me, and kind of just pushing away the way that I had been. I mean, just 2 months prior. So that was really neat. The last thing I guess I'll say is that I loved the quote. One of the priests in Osabreo kept saying, Ultreia Susea, Ultreia Susea, and we kind of did that as a shot at the end of our trip. But Ultreia means go forward, or keep going, push on, and Susea means go higher. And so like go forward, go higher, or I liked onward and upward. And I just think that is such a good message, not just for like right now, my season of life where I'm like really stepping out of, I literally moved from one state to another. I'm doing a career change, but also like anything we're going through, Ultreia Susea. I think that's so cool. So yes, that was kind of my big reflection. It was an amazing trip. I'm so thankful I got to do it. I would recommend it to anyone. I'll start saving money for that in the future, maybe the Portuguese next, but I definitely also want to do more trekking adventures, more backpacking adventures. And then, one other thing, I do kind of regret not taking more videos of all my friends that I had along the way. I was so embarrassed of like being a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber, but like filming people and like with other consent. I didn't want to do that at all. And so the first month, I didn't take videos of anybody. It was just like myself, because it was for myself, my family, my friends. But the people were such an important part of my trip. And so towards the end, I started, they all knew what I was doing. And so they started being in more videos. And that just like made me smile so much watching back some of those videos. So I guess I do kind of regret that a little bit. But I have so many pictures, and I'm just so thankful for the people that I met along the journey. They definitely made it what it was. So I think that's the end. I'm going to try to cut this down because I know I just talked for a long time. And then I'm only going to make one more video, which is I told you guys that I would debrief on the supplies that I brought. So I'll do that next. But thank you for so many random people watch this. I really thought it was just for my family and my friends and my former students and coworkers, which all of them did watch it, a lot of them. And it did help, because when I came back, they had some specific questions. The people who cared watched it and like really asked questions. The people who didn't really care, I could have a surface conversation. It was fine. But it was just really interesting to me, the people who did watch it that I did not expect from my life. But then also all these random people from all over the world. So thank you guys for watching. It's kind of embarrassing. Like this is not my vibe. I'm a public speaker. I'm a teacher, but filming yourself doing things is very cringy. But thank you guys for watching and supporting. And I don't see myself being a vlogger in the future, but I do see, like, as my brother and I were talking about possibly doing some different backpacking trips, maybe I'll pop up with some videos in the future from trips like that. I've always loved video editing, and do that for most trips I go on, but haven't put it out into the universe. So anyways, thank you guys for following. Thank you for your support and your encouragement. If you're thinking about doing the Camino, I say do it. Definitely do it. And you're not too young and you're not too old. I met people from 20 years old up to 80 something years old doing it, and solo. And I was so inspired by that. It just made me want to live a long and healthy life and do adventures all over the world. It's never too late. And also, age is just a mindset. There were people I met that I was like, what? You're 65? Like, I would have thought you were 40. Just because the way they carry themselves and the things that they're interested in makes them feel so much younger. So yeah, do it. Do the Camino. You got it.